Good morning, everyone. Uh, Thanks for the sweet introduction. So, uh, my topic is basically to talk about data journalism. Uh, the previous talks were a bit optimistic. Mine is a slightly pessimistic talk because I belong to an industry that's clearly in decline. But that would not be the focus of the presentation. I'll try to tell you why data journalism actually helps, stem uh, some of the losses that we are encountering uh, during a time of decline of print. I'll try to explain how. Uh, Before I get into that, I just wanted to start off with an exemplar of the kind of journalism we have done in recent times, and that actually sets the tone of trying to understand how we have been trying to incorporate data in the list of products that we have brought about in print. One of the most important stories that we did in the last year was about the electoral bonds. So as soon as the Supreme Court mandated the State Bank of India to release public information on, anonymous information on electoral bonds, we latched onto that topic and tried to do as many stories as we could. If you see here, these are some of the stories that we did. Um, this included how certain realty majors were some of the key donors to key buyers of electoral bonds and donors to political parties. How certain parties were, certain companies paid a lot more of money. How some companies actually flouted the law. For example, companies which were incorporated within 3 years of companies which are incorporated in 3 years were not supposed to buy electoral bonds, but at least 20 companies did so. 55 companies actually went on to buy electoral bonds despite the value of the bonds exceeding the 7.5% cap of their profits. 33 loss-making companies actually made donations. The rule was that only profit-making companies were supposed to make donations and so on. So how did we go about it? What we did was we initially, as soon as the data was released by SBI, we came up with a simple searchable interface. We put in all the data that we had into a searchable interface, as you can see here. Initially, the information was anonymized. All we got was what were the parties that received the donations and which were the companies that made donations, and the connection was not made. But thanks to some judicial activism, we were able to get that information as well. And as you can see, we went on to make analysis based on that. I'll show you. Let me just wait for this to, yeah. Yeah, here you have the complete list of donors and the recipients. And once that information was made available, we immediately put it up in a searchable interface. And you can search by party, you can search by company, and so on, right? How did we do that? So what we did was we initially, as soon as we got the electoral bonds data, we put it up in a searchable interface. Then we started looking up into all these companies in the publicly available data at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We started looking at the name of the directors, and we tried to figure out if these directors' names are repeated in other companies as well. So that was the first. Then we also tried to look into our archives, the Hindus archives, to find out if these companies have been named in investigations related to corruption, if these directors in particular have been indicted for this or that reason, and so on. Then we were able to make some correlations based on that. Later, we also tried to analyze these companies' financials using the CMIE Prowess database, and we were able to find out, looking at their balance sheets, if they were making profits, if they're violating any of those rules that were set for companies which could buy those bonds. Once we got this various disparate information, we were able to synthesize them, mix and match the data, and were able to come up with some correlations. Later, we can't just publish that information. We needed to corroborate it as well. So thankfully, because a newspaper has other teams as well, we had our business bureau, we had corporate reporters. We collaborated with them, and they got the reactions from the companies in question, and that's how we were able to build the story. So the teams involved included the Hindu data team, the business bureau, of course, the digital and print publishing teams, and design. So this is just an exemplar of, and of course, the tools that we used was most importantly OpenRefine, because I remember others were also doing this story, and somewhere in the race to try to bring this data as fast as possible, and some had actually not used OpenRefine. So what happened was some companies which names were misspelled were noted as a different record, and that's why the data was not collated properly. But because we used OpenRefine, we were able to escape that error. And of course, we use spreadsheets, we use Flourish to create the searchable interface. We use the CMI Provost database. We use the Ministry of Corporate Affairs database. Of course, we relied a lot on our archives. There was a pretty decent impact, but not to the extent that we expected. We thought that revealing this data would automatically lead to recriminations, questions being raised, and then probably even investigations on how these companies managed to do these things. None of those things happened. As soon as the elections got over, the issue became irrelevant. Of course, some parties did raise this question and made these demands, but it didn't go any further. So, but at the same time, for us in particular, we were able to generate a lot of website traffic for hosting this database, also these stories. And we noticed that this database that we put up, the searchable interface, was used by other media organizations, other researchers, other institutions to take this investigation further. And this served as some kind of a primary resource source. And also it helped us win an award, which you can see here. So before this is just a showcase of what we do. I've been asked to tell about my journey in journalism. Quickly. So I graduated from engineering college, basically chemical engineer. And I worked in the software sector, but I moved to academics. I went on to do a PhD in comparative politics, and then worked in EPW. And then from there I moved on to the Hindu. I started off as an editor and op-ed page editor, and I've been anchoring different teams now that include the data team, the explanatory journalism team, and the opinion team as well. Besides that, I also help in curating deep dive ebooks. There's a reason why I brought all this into the fore, because there is a reason why we need to do data journalism today, and that reason is what I'll explain here. So news consumption has changed dramatically, as all of you know. More and more consumption of news is from social media, and less is coming from print, right? So while social media has democratized news, right? Breaking news is available quickly from various sources right at your fingertips. There is also this factor of lack of gatekeeping or regulation. So you have unfiltered news, lack of context, and so on. And user preferences changed. So in this milieu, how does a legacy institution like the Hindu or any print publication survive when less and less people are low number of readers are reading this? We think we can survive by actually providing context. You have breaking news, people are informed, but are they getting knowledge out of it? So that's where we think we come in, and we think that by providing context, because we looked at property price data as a proxy for every locality, and then we looked at polling booth data, and we mixed and matched this to information at very granular level to show that the people who are voting for the BJP were largely from the upper class segments, and people who are voting for the DMK were largely from the middle and the lower class segments. And this pattern was holding true for almost every part of Chennai, which told us that caste was not that much of a determinant as much as class. Anyway. So yeah, quickly. Apart from this, we have done quite a few online stories as well. We have noticed that in the online medium, people look for interactivity, and this story, for example, was an interactive that we did on breaking down Lok Sabha results over three elections, looking at vote shares and having several filters. Right. So you could look for who's running in, reserve seats for SCs, STs, general, and so on. You can break it down by region. You can look at state-wise data. You can look at urban clusters and so on. This is something we do. We try to engage our online leaders to come and visit our site more, and therefore we use this. Yeah, quickly, I think we are given even enough examples. I'll just go on to. Yeah, since most of you are journalists here, I don't want to harp on the tools that we use, but okay, quickly. So, what are the patterns of in the way we are doing data journalism today? Previously, we used to simply look at numbers to supplement stories, but now we have gone ahead to actually find insights from those numbers and then come up with stories. And as I said, doing periodic stories and analysis has led to accumulative knowledge and expertise, and helps us to quickly deliver on some public policy issue if it is happening quickly. That said, we are still far behind print organizations like the New York Times, which have graduated into digital behemoths. They have more dedicated resources for digital storytelling, which we don't have. Then, what are the challenges to data journalism? Of course, reduced readership of print means that all the effort that we put on print is of little consequence. So we have to delve more into digital journalism. There are revenue model issues that print institutions face. I don't want to dwell more on it. But some of the points that Rukmini made, I just wanted to highlight them as well. There is the real issue of government apathy in releasing important databases and important at the right time. So that's an issue. And of course, the more key issues is actually data journalism changing minds, or actually we are only catering to an echo chamber. That's something I'm asking myself. Again, what do we do for the future? We need to evolve into more digital publishers, with print becoming a best of digital edition. And we need to reorient our journalist core to do that. Thankfully, because of GenAI, some of the things we did, I showed you, like the interactive that we did was entirely done with GenAI. So I did this without any coding knowledge. I just used prompts to get that done. So some things are much easily possible now, but we need to do more of that. So to conclude, data journalism has evolved and become a core product of legacy media output. It, of course, increases credibility and informativeness. And the methods that we use are part and parcel of good journalism. And thankfully, GenAI tools have made interactive and complicated tasks much easier. Thanks. Take questions.